So the first is that he, like we said, simply got disorientated and perished in the rugged terrain. Yes. Second theory was...
Disoriented?
What did I say?
Disorientated.
Oh, darn it. I've done that before.
You've done that before.
Yeah. Darn it. I'll have to work on my pronunciation.
Pronunciation in it?
Yeah. The second leading theory was that he was attacked by one of the hungry bears just because they were short on their normal food supply that summer. Mm-hmm. Less likely was he might have been attacked by a feral pig, which can be very, they can be mean, especially if you're a small child. Mm-hmm. The third theory was that he was abducted by someone in the woods waiting for him, or someone that was on the search team found him and abducted him. So, I mean, I could see that happening with so many different strange people coming into the search. Like, they didn't do, I don't think they, 1,400 people, there's no way they were, checking backgrounds of people and making sure, like, some of these people aren't, predators. So could someone have found Dennis, maybe injured, and then they abducted him? The only, devil's advocate that is there's 1,400 people in the woods. Could you have gotten away with that?
Yeah, like, would you be able to pull them out of the woods without making a sound or
without anyone noticing?
Yeah, that seems highly unlikely. Yeah.
So the deep end theory, and this is not my theory. This is a theory that a lot of conspiracy people on the internet have come up with: feral humans.
Ooh, and nothing's more reliable than people on the internet.
So
feral humans, you said?
Yeah.
Like feral hogs, but humans?
Humans, yeah. So one of the most popular theories involved wild men, otherwise known as feral humans, who live in the mountains and go about snatching livestock and children at night. These wild men are said
to have like hooves for feet.
Yeah, right. These wild men are said to be cannibalistic and live in secret colonies within the park. Some say this would explain why nothing of Dennis was ever found.
Okay. All right.
People believe there are humans who have lived in the wild so long they are closer to beasts than men. Some believe they have their own language and apparently quite a putrid smell that forewarns of their arrival, which is just
just ineffective feraling, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Do they have big feet?
The hobbits.
Big foot.
This is the crazier thing. If you want to believe the feral human theory, many even go as far to say that the special forces got deployed on this search not to help find Dennis, but to hunt down the feral humans. But many go on to say if they were hunting feral people, they would have been armed, which everyone reported that the special forces in the search were unarmed.
Oh, so, from what they could tell.
From what they could tell. But
they're Green Berets.
They're highly trained in hand-to-hand combat, too. So that's the off-the-deep end theory that people have been running with for this disappearance. So I'll kick it off to you. What do you think happened?
So I'll just say most likely, if I'm not going to go down like the Hollywood or deep end, I'd say most likely is he got disoriented and perished in the woods. Yeah. And for whatever reason, they didn't stumble across his body. If it was heavily wooded, rugged, we saw some of those bushes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of people, but it's also a lot of area.
Yep.
You think of when you look around the woods, like all the places you could walk and how long it would take you to walk in all those places.
Yeah.
So, and the farther he goes out, the more spread out that search gets. So that's, I'd say, the most likely. The second one, which I do believe is really close to that, is that he was taken. And I know we have one, like, eyewitness to this scream and this guy.
Yeah.
And I know it was far away, but is it possible he was abducted closer to where he went lost and that guy brought him that way? And that's where he crossed paths with this guy, and maybe he was screaming the whole time or every now and then, and he just heard it then. So I don't look at it like, oh, this was 9 miles away. There's no way he could have done that in maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Because he said it was afternoon. But what if he was kidnapped and brought there in a vehicle?
Well, that retired ranger who was on the search said he wishes that they would have investigated that second possibility more, because he said that it would have been possible for a physically fit man to carry a small boy between the 2 points.
Yeah. Especially if it was a feral man.
Yeah. And he also said again that he thought Dennis Martin could have reached that location alone. So, yeah, I think...
And people's recollection of time is terrible.
Especially if you're out in the woods.
Especially out in the woods. So if he just said afternoon, And, how do we know even Dennis, we say he went missing at 3.
Yeah.
Maybe it was earlier than that. And they thought it was 3. Maybe they had a watch, whatever.
Yeah.
But if the guy didn't if he said it was afternoon, well, that's like a 5-hour window.
Yeah.
You could travel 9 miles in 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a good theory. I think my leading theory combines 1 and 2 of the normal theories. So I think he did wander off, and maybe he got he got separated from the group, and maybe he fell or something happened, or he was scared and he was hiding and he didn't want to come out. And then that storm hit, because they said the storm hit not too far after he went missing. And maybe he perished in that storm, but then his remains, a bear or a bobcat or an animal, got the remains, and because they found that skeleton kind of near where those shoe prints were found.
Okay, so they didn't test that, and they have no way to know if that's him?
No, so the guy found the skeleton and was afraid of being prosecuted for poaching or for illegally hunting ginseng. And when they went back to look for the bones in 1985, they were gone. So, yeah, that could have been Dennis, and that would have made sense if he had perished that night in the storm. His body got washed away, and then he was,
I forgot about that. I would say that'd be before even the kidnapping.
Yeah, and the predators then were so hungry, they, instantly, as soon as the water dried up, dispersed the bones.
Sure.
I think, maybe that scream has something to do with his disappearance. Maybe one of the searchers took him. I just think it would be really hard with that many people. Though in the early days, there weren't that many in the field. There were just a couple hundred. So the 1,400 people didn't ramp up until a week later.
If someone in the search crew took him, it could have been in the early initial.
Yeah, like the initial day. Maybe they found him injured and somehow got him out of there. But I still don't think that's as likely. I think he really probably was injured, and then the storm washed him away, and then, bears or bobcats got him.
I think that's definitely the most plausible.
Yeah. And if not, it was feral humans.
Yeah, that's definitely off the deep end for sure.
Yeah, and it's just kind of funny. Like, that is the running theory for a lot of people on the internet. So, any final thoughts on this one?
No. I think those are the most plausible. I think. I don't know.
I'm just in awe in the size of the search.
The size of the search is pretty crazy, especially because they found nothing except for the shoe print, which they wrote off, which they probably shouldn't have. But outside of that, I don't know. You guys tell us on social media. Let us know what you